Nasroyasi Vyanakshasi.
If you become conscious of me, you will pass over all the obstacles of conditioned life by my grace. If, however, you do not walk in such consciousness but act through false ego, not hearing me, you will be lost.
Text 59. Yad ahankaramastritya na yosyat iti manyasi mityasa mityaisa vyavasayaste prakritvam niyaksho shyati prakritvam niyokshyati. Hare Krishna.
If you do not act according to my direction and do not fight, then you will be falsely directed. By your nature, you will have to be engaged in warfare.
Text 60. Swabhavajena kaunteya nibadha swena karmana kartum nichasi mohat karyasyasi avasupitat.
Under illusion, you are now declining to act according to my direction. But compelled by the work born of your own nature, you will act all the same, O son of Kunti.
Text 61. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hirdesi arjun trishtati brahmayan sarvabhutani yatran rupdhani mamyaya.
The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy.
Text 62. Tameva sharam gacha sarvabhavena dharata tat prasadat param santim stantanam prasyasi sasvatam.
O Sasana of Bharata, surrender unto him utterly. By his grace, you will attain transcendental peace and the supreme and the eternal abode.
Text 63. Iti te jnana akyam tam guhyataram maya vimrishyatad asinesa sena yatechasi tatakuru.
Thus, I have explained to you knowledge still more confidential. Deliberate on this fully and then do what you wish to do.
Text 64. Sarvaguhyatamam bhuya smritu paramam vachaha istuste si medharam iti tato vyakshami te hitam.
Because you are my very dear friend, I am speaking to you my supreme instruction, the most confidential knowledge of all. Hear this from me, for it is for your benefit.
Text 65. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyayi mam namaskuru mam evaishyasi satyam te pratijane priyoshimi.
Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very dear friend.
Text 66. Sarvadharmam parityajya rajya man ekam saramnam vrija aham tvam sarva papyebhyo mokshayishyami machyutashaha.
Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear.
Text 67. Idam te napaskasya nabhask bhaktaya kastachana Nasus, sorry, Nachashusru Save Vakyam Nachamam Yo Vyashuyati.
This confidential knowledge may never be explained to those who are not austere or devoted or engaged in devotional service, nor to one who is envious of me.
Text 68. Yaidam paramam guryam madbhakti shvabhidasyati bhaktim mayi param kritva mam evaishyati asamsyaha.
For one who explains the supreme secret to the devotees, your devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me.
Text 69. Nacha tasman manusyasu kashin me priya kritman maha bhavita nacha me tasmad anya priya tado bhuvi.
There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear.
Text 70. Adhyaya yatescha imam dharmyam sambadam aveyoho Jnana janena tanaham istashyam iti me matihi.
And I declare that he who studies this sacred conversation of ours worships me by his intelligence.
Text 71. Shradhava manushashyascha smriyuj apiyo naraha sopi mukta sabhalokan pranuyat punya karmanyam.
And one who listens with faith and without envy becomes free from sinful reaction and attains to the auspicious planets where the pures dwell.
Text 72. Kachit etakshrutam partha tvayaike grena sheshasa kachit agnana sammohaha prayastad te dhananjaya.
O son of Pritha, O conqueror of wealth, have you heard this with an attentive mind? And are your ignorance and illusion now dispelled?
Text 73. Arjuna vacha nasto maha smritir labdad tvarsadan mayachyatu ta stitosmi gata sandehaha harisi varanam tava.
Arjuna said, my dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt and am prepared to act according to your instructions.
Text 74. Sanjaya vacha ityaham vasudevasya parthasya cha mahatmanaha samvadam imam arushyam adhutam romaharsanam.
Sanjaya said, thus have I heard the conversation of two great souls, Krishna and Arjuna, and so wonderful is that message that my hair is standing on end.
Text 75. Vyasa parasdaks Shutavran eta griham atam aham param yogam yogeshvarat krishnat satkartiya ta sarvam.
By the mercy of Vaishya, I have heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjuna.
Text 76. Rajan samritya sambadam imam abhutam keshavarjune o bunyam hirsyam me mudhur muhur.
O king, as I repeatedly recall this wondrous and holy dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna, I take pleasure, being thrilled at every moment.
Text 77. Taksha samritya rupam atiya bhutam hare vishyayo me mahan rajan hiryam me cha puna puna.
O king, as I remember the wonderful form of Lord Krishna, I am struck with wonder more and more, and I rejoice again and again.
Text 78. Yatra Yogeshvara Krishna Yata Pato Dhanurdhanaha Raha Tatar Shrir Vijoyo Bhutir Dhruva Nitir Mama.
Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mysteries, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will also certainly be opulence, victory, extraordinary power, and morality. That is my opinion. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Sorry for my dreadful mistakes, everybody.
Really, Mataji, I must say that you were really reciting very well. Yes, there were mistakes, but the words are so difficult, but your pronunciations were so good that I was actually going to ask you, have you been practicing?
I know I haven't. I've been trying to learn, but I didn't expect to do this.
Of
I
course.
thought nobody else wanted to, and I'm sorry that Kusum didn't get the
No, no,
opportunity
no,
because
that's fine. I'm sure she is also equally happy that you've done it, but you were so good. Please, you must recite more often. It was really nice. Thank you so much.
I'm trying. I'm learning, Mataji, learning.
Thank you.
Definitely, Jolly, you've done very well. Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Thank you, Mataji. That's very kind.
Very nice.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right, let me just share my screen. Sorry, I just got a bit distracted. I was looking at. One second. Please let me know that you can see the screen.
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so we are continuing with the 18th chapter, which is the conclusion of the teachings of Krishna that he is speaking to Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. It's very, very important chapter. Obviously, all the chapters are important. And especially the verse that we're going to do today is the most amazing verse. And I'm sure all of you know it. So let's go to that. Okay, so this is verse 66, chapter 18. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayaishami ma suchaha. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. I love the way Krishna is saying, Ma Suchaha, do not worry. Ma Suchaha. Amazing. So it's a long purport. I don't know if somebody would volunteer to read it. If not, then I will just read the purport. Does anybody? Kusum Mataji, maybe you could read the purport?
Yeah, sure, I can do that. Thank you. The Lord has described various kinds of knowledge and processes of religion, knowledge of the Supreme, Brahman, knowledge of the Super Soul, knowledge of the different types of orders and statuses of social life, knowledge of the renounced order of life, knowledge of non-attachment, sense and mind control, meditation, etc. He has described in so many ways different types of religion. Now, in summarizing Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that Arjuna should give up all the processes that have been explained to him, and he should simply surrender to Krishna. That surrender will save him from all kinds of sinful reactions, for the Lord personally promises to protect him. In the 7th chapter, it was said that only one who has become free from all sinful reactions can take to the worship of Lord Krishna. Thus, one may think that unless he's free from all sinful reactions, he cannot take to the surrendering process. To such doubts, it is here said that even if one is not free from all sinful reactions, simply by the process of surrendering to Sri Krishna, he is automatically freed. There is no need of strenuous effort. There is no need of strenuous effort to free oneself from sinful reactions. One should unhesitatingly accept Krishna as the supreme savior of all living entities. With faith and love, one should surrender unto him. Hare Krishna.
Does anybody else want to read?
Can I read, Mataji?
Yes, please, Jyoti Mataji.
The process of surrender to Krishna is described in the Hari Bhakti Vilasa. According to the devotional process, one should simply accept such religious principles that will lead ultimately to the devotional service of the Lord. One may perform a particular occupational duty according to his position in the social order, but if by executing his duty one does not come to the point of Krishna consciousness, all his activities are in vain. Anything that does not lead to the perfectional stage of Krishna consciousness should be avoided. One should be confident that in all circumstances, Krishna will protect him from all difficulties. There is no need of thinking how one should keep the body and the soul together. Krishna will see to that. One should always think himself helpless and should consider Krishna the only basis for his progress in life. As soon as one seriously engages himself in devotional service to the Lord in full Krishna consciousness, at once he becomes freed from all contamination of material nature. There are different processes of religion and purificatory processes by cultivation of knowledge, meditation in the mystic yoga system, etc. But one who surrenders unto Krishna does not have to execute so many methods. That simple surrender unto Krishna will save him from unnecessarily wasting time. One can thus make all progress at once and be freed from all sinful reactions. Hare Krishna.
Anybody else?
Can I read, Mataji?
Yes, please.
Hare Krishna. One should be attracted by the beautiful vision of Krishna. His name is Krishna because he is all attractive and becomes attracted by the beautiful, all-powerful, omnipotent vision of Krishna is fortunate. There are different kinds of transcendentalists. Some of them are attached to the impersonal Brahman vision. Some of them are attracted by the super soul feature, etc. But one who is attracted to the personal features of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and above all, one who is attracted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Krishna himself, is the most perfect transcendentalist. In other words, devotional service to Krishna in full consciousness is the most confidential part of knowledge, and this is the essence of the whole Bhagavad Gita. Karma yogis, empirical philosophers, mystics, and devotees are all called transcendentalists. But one who is a pure devotee is the best of all. The particular words used here, ma suchaha, don't fear, don't hesitate, don't worry, are very significant. One may be perplexed as to how one can give up all kinds of religious forms and simply surrender unto Krishna, but such worry is useless. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. So before we continue, we'll just recite our prayers. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare नम ओं विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशधारिणे. All right, so we will continue with this very, very, very important verse. In fact, this verse is the essence and conclusion of the teachings of Lord Krishna. And what is he teaching us in this verse is surrender. Surrender with complete sincerity. Now, the thing is, this term surrender, this process is very easy and simple, but it also can be very, very complicated. So what we'll do today is we'll try and see how we can pick up some aspects, because we could discuss this verse every single day and there'll be new things that we can learn, as is the case with all of Bhagavad Gita. So we'll just try and focus on a few things and see if it is going to help us in our process, in our journey of Krishna consciousness and our process of surrendering to Krishna. So I thought, first thing, when we are talking about sincerity, and this amazing story is something which I think will help all of us, and we will learn a lot from this story. I'm sure most of you, I guess all of you will know this story. This is about Gajendra the elephant. So this place is described in the Bhagavatam very, very beautiful. So Gajendra was on the Trikuta mountain, and this mountain was so beautiful. It was most heavenly. It had the most beautiful trees which would give very, very fragrant flowers. There were lakes and there were waterfalls, and everything was just so beautiful. And Gajendra, the king of the elephants, on this particular day, he decided that he is going to enjoy himself along with all his family members and friends. So he went on a picnic, like how we go on a picnic sometimes when the summer is good in the UK. Not always, but sometimes. So he's decided to go on a picnic, and he's here in this, on the bank of this lake. He's gone to enjoy. And very important lesson here to learn is that we never know what is going to happen in this material world. Like it is said, padam padam yad vipatam. There's always something lurking in the shadows which we are not aware of. And that's exactly what happened to Gajendra. He entered the lake to enjoy himself, and there was a crocodile there, which caught hold of his leg. And unfortunately for Gajendra, because he was in a place which is not normal, in the sense that for the crocodile, the water is his home, but for Gajendra, it wasn't so. And he still obviously tried to save himself, because that is the nature of any living entity, that you struggle, you try to save yourself. And he did everything that was possible. And in fact, this fight between the crocodile and Gajendra went on for years and years. And we're not talking about material years here, we're talking about celestial years. So it went on for many, many years. And then, Gajendra could see that, he's got his friends standing on the banks, his very, very obedient children, his chaste wife. But he realized that none of them can help me. My strength cannot help me. My fame and glory cannot help me. My wealth cannot help me. And none of my relatives can help me. And this is the realization that we should have right from the beginning. We should realize that, and I think we are seeing this around us, especially in this time, in the time of the pandemic, that really nobody can help us. And at such time, then you see yourself that, surrendering or taking shelter of Krishna with complete sincerity. It's a bit unfortunate that it is only when you are in distressing conditions that the complete sincerity comes through, the complete realization that there is nothing that I can do. However, Krishna consciousness is teaching us that you don't need to wait for that situation to come. You should start realizing that in all situations, it's only Krishna who can give you complete shelter. So we see that Gajendra then eventually accepts the fact that there is nothing he can do. And at that time, he turns to pray, to surrender to Lord Krishna. And that is exactly what we can see in the picture that he's doing. And as soon as he does that, obviously, Krishna comes to protect him, because Krishna promises that my devotee will never suffer. And we won't go into the backstory, but we know that Gajendra in his previous life was a devoted king, King Indrayumna. But that's besides the point. The point here is that as soon as Gajendra stopped fighting, stopped depending upon himself, and turned to Krishna, Krishna was there to protect him. So when we are put in a situation like Gajendra, we really understand what it means to surrender. But the point is, we talk about surrender a lot. And, generally it's spoken about so much, but what exactly does it mean to surrender? It means a lot of things for a lot of people. And in different circumstances, surrender may mean so many different things. So I have just picked up a few points which I think should help all of us actually. So surrender means to repose all one's dependence on Krishna. When we depend on ourselves, or when we depend on the material world, our friends and relatives, we realize that there is only so much that I can do on my own. But when we depend on Krishna, then we know 100% that Krishna is there to protect us in all circumstances. And that is what we should be doing. Complete dependence on Krishna with faith. Surrender also means that even in the most averse and hopeless condition, we have faith in the mercy of Krishna. Knowing that Krishna loves us unconditionally. Krishna does not put any conditions. He is not, he's not biased. He is giving out his love to everybody freely. It is depending on us whether we are willing to take it or no. So knowing that in whatever condition, having that complete faith that Krishna is there for me. If I turn to Krishna, he will be there for me. Having that faith in the mercy, that's surrender. Surrender is also to know that Krishna is always with me. He is within my heart. So he's present 24/7 with me. That is what it says in the Bhagavad Gita. Sarvasya chaham hridhi sannivishto mata smritir jnanam apohanam cha vedescha sarve rahameva vedyo vedanta kridveda videva chaham. So Krishna is saying, he's actually saying to Arjuna that I am within your heart. I am within everybody's heart. Remembering that, especially when you feel really lost and alone and hopeless, don't ever feel hopeless, because Krishna is with you at all times, no matter what. And then surrender is to know that Krishna is the cause of all causes and the controller of everything. Knowing that whatever is happening is because Krishna is, he is the controller. Nothing, not even a blade of grass will move without the sanction of Krishna. So yes, sometimes it is very difficult to accept when things are going wrong. You think, but why would Krishna sanction this? You can't see the bigger picture. You are only seeing the immediate wrong that is happening, but you don't know that that one thing which you think is wrong is going to lead up to so many wonderful things. And that is why having that faith always, like how a father or parents will not do anything that is wrong for the children. So having that faith, Krishna is the eternal father. So how can anything be wrong when Krishna is in charge? Have that faith, because he is the cause of all causes. So these are different things that you can pick up from even Gajendra's story, because after he fought, he struggled for so long, he then completely depended on Krishna with the faith that Krishna will be merciful to me, knowing that he's in my heart. So if I turn to Krishna, he's the controller and he will take care. So these are some of the things that I picked up, because Krishna is promising. He promises to Arjuna, Konteya pratijanati name bhakta pranashyati. Please declare that my devotees will not suffer. Krishna is declaring that. So he is promising that he will always protect us. And if we have that faith, then there is nothing to fear. And this reminds me of Srila Prabhupada. When Srila Prabhupada, at that age of 69, when he left India to come to the West, and we all know the story so well, but it's always nice to remind ourselves that he came with nothing, literally, with absolutely nothing materially, but he had so much spiritually, because he had faith in the instructions of his Guru Maharaj, and he had complete faith in the sweetness of Krishna's name, in the chanting of the holy name. And he had these two things, and it was these two things that gave him the strength to do what he was able to do. Because materially, if you look at it with a material vision, he had no friends, no relatives, no money, no place to stay. He didn't have a program of of a structured management thing that, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Nothing. But he had complete faith in his guru's instructions. He had complete faith in the chanting of the holy name, and that is why he could achieve what he did, right? Um, right, okay. And that brings us very nicely to this, in Prabhupada's purport, he's quoted this verse, which is obviously in the Hari Bhakti Vilas, but it is also in the Chaitanya Charitamrit Madhya 22 and verse number 100. And it says, Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam rakshishyati ti vishvaso gopatrive varanam tatha atmanikshepa karpanye sadvidha saranagati. And the translation is, the 6 divisions of surrender are the acceptance of things favorable to devotional service, the rejection of unfavorable things, the conviction that Krishna will give protection, the acceptance of the Lord as one's guardian or master, full self-surrender, and humility. So this is exactly what we have seen in the story, and what we are trying to understand what surrender means. So here it is being explained that one should in one's life accept all the things that are favorable to devotional service and reject things that are unfavorable. And that is what we are taught as soon as we start our process of Krishna consciousness. You know, Prabhupada said to all his disciples, and he never changed these rules, and he's made these rules and regulations where, you know, you have to give up intoxicants, you cannot gamble, there is, you know, no illicit sex, and and you have to chant the 16 rounds on your beads every single day. So very, very clear that what is favorable for devotional service, you accept that, and you reject everything that is not favorable for service. The next point is the conviction that Krishna will give protection. See here, understanding, which is what we have seen from Gajendra's story, knowing that nobody, nothing in this material world can give me protection except Krishna. Have that firm conviction and faith. Accept that Krishna is your master. Accept that you are part and parcel of Krishna. You are servant of Krishna, and your only dharma is to serve. Serve Krishna and serve his devotees. And that too serve with full surrender and humility. So this again is kind of sitting in very well with our story of Gajendra. And in fact, in the Bible also, it says that may thy will be done. So surrender to Krishna means that whatever is your will is my will. Samsidir haritoshanam. How can I please Krishna always? Whatever is Krishna's will, that is my will. Right? So that's surrender again. I'm sorry, we are going on about surrender, but this verse is really just about that. So we will be talking a lot more on this. Okay. The other very, very important aspect of surrender. So preliminary to complete surrender is complete humility. We saw in the verse above that it's, you know, you're talking about complete self-surrender with humility. And I thought I will just speak on, it's already half past, but I'll take probably another 10 minutes if that's okay. This is a story of Dashrati. I'm not sure if a lot of you have heard this story, but this is a very interesting story. So Dashrati was a disciple of Ramanujacharya. I'm sure most people have heard of Ramanujacharya. He is great Vaishnava Acharya, not from our Gaudiya Sampradaya, but he's a very, very well-known Vaishnava Acharya of another Sampradaya. And he had this disciple called Dashrati, who was a very scholarly disciple. He knew the Shastras very well, and he used to preach, and he was well versed in all the Vedic literatures. So he once came to Ramanujacharya and he asked him to explain the real and correct meaning of the verse Sarva Dharman Paritajya. And Ramanujacharya said to Dashrati that I feel incompetent to explain this to you because you are such a scholar. And while they were having this discussion, a lady came to Ramanujacharya. She was the daughter of another of his disciple, and she came to him and she said to him that my father has asked me to come to you with a problem that I have. And Ramanujacharya said, you know, okay, what is the problem? And she said that I am having a lot of problem in my married life. My in-laws and my husband, they expect me to fetch water from so far from this well, and I bring the water for all their activities, and I'm constantly doing that, or cooking or cleaning the house. And I'm so tired, you know, I feel so weak. And when I ask for help, they shout at me saying, you know, has your father sent a servant that we can get a servant to help you? And I don't know what to do. And Ramanujacharya said, oh, I have the perfect solution for your problem. And he looked at Dashrati and he said, Dashrati, you go with this Mataji and you be the help. You fetch the water for her, you cook, you clean, and you do everything. And Dashrati went with this lady and he stayed with her every day, day in and day out, doing all the work that she would be doing otherwise. So, fetching the water, cooking, cleaning the house, everything, everything. And for 6 months, he did this. And then one day in that village, a Vedic scholar came, and he was teaching from the Shastras. And everybody was assembled, as was Dashrati. And some of the things that he was saying was incorrect. And Dashrati could not hold himself back. And so he corrected him. So this scholar, he said, "Who are you? You're just a house help. You're a cook. You don't know anything." But Dashrati explained, and in such a way that everybody was impressed and they started touching his feet. And even the scholar got down from his Vyasasana and he touched his feet. And people asked him, "Who are you? How do you know all these things?" And then he replied that, "I am, so and so, I'm Dashrati, I am disciple of Ramanujacharya." And then these people, after hearing this, they went to Ramanujacharya and they said to him, you know, uh, "You sent Dashrati to do this job. He is a scholar. He's a preacher. Please call him back. Please call him, because he should be doing this. He should be preaching rather than working in somebody's house like this." And Ramanujacharya was so happy after listening to this that he personally went to the village to meet Dashrati. And when he saw him, he hugged him. And he was so happy. He said to him, "I am so happy that you are following my instructions." Now, why are we talking about this story? I'm sure you've got the gist of it. Complete surrender comes only with complete humility. When you are humble, when you can follow the instructions of your guru, that is surrender. Sometimes the question is asked, how do we surrender to Krishna? Now, the point is that to surrender to Krishna means to surrender to the process, to surrender to the guru, to surrender to the seniors, to surrender to the authorities, to surrender to your sadhana. That is what surrender means. That is what surrender to Krishna means. And we are doing that. We can practice surrender every single day in each and every activity of ours, starting from our sadhana. Are we able to do our sadhana with complete surrender, with taking complete shelter? How is it that when we are chanting, we are not able to see Krishna? Krishna is saying that he's non-different to the holy name. Why is it that we are not able to see that? Because we don't have the complete faith. Although we hear it so many times, it is easy for all of us to hear and say it, but to realize it is a different thing. And that is surrender. To be able to surrender to your sadhana, to your guru, to the process of Krishna consciousness, that is surrender to Krishna, because that is what Krishna wants, right? Um, And then in the purport, Prabhupada says that he talks about the 7th chapter, where it says that if you are not rid of your sinful reactions, then you cannot come to me or engage in my service. This is the verse that actually I picked up from the 7th chapter. I'm sure there are other such verses, but this is the one that I picked up, where it says, "Persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life, and whose sinful actions are completely eradicated, are freed from the dualities of delusion, and they engage themselves in my service with determination." However, in this purport and in this verse, it is here said that even if one is not free from all sinful reactions, simply by the process of surrendering to Sri Krishna, he is automatically freed. There is no need of strenuous effort to free oneself from sinful reaction. With faith and love, one should surrender unto him. I think that this particular purport, the way Prabhupada is explaining, gives all of us so much hope. I know of people sometimes, like when I have come across people, including my own father, when I said to him that you should wear the kanthi, the tulsi, and he says to me, "How can I wear kanthi? Because kanthi should be worn by people who are pure, who do not tell lies, or who do not do any kind of sinful things." But here, see, it says, It doesn't matter. It does not matter as long as with faith and love you are surrendering unto him. So as long as you are on this path, yes, we have not reached the goal yet, but we are on this path. We have accepted Krishna as our Lord and Master, and we want to follow this process. Sorry, I'm just going to stop share and then. Yeah. So we want to follow this process of Krishna consciousness. And yes, there may be times even now that we do wrong things. We are not perfect and we don't claim to be perfect. But Prabhupada is saying, Krishna is promising, it does not matter as long as you have turned to me, you have taken shelter of me. So, surrender is actually not a very, very mystical conception. It's just about being honest. Be honest with Krishna. Speak to Krishna. Tell him that I'm not at that stage. I'm not where I have rid myself of all the anarthas, where I don't have any greed, where I don't have any envy. But I understand and I realize that I have to reach that state someday. And I want to take shelter of your lotus feet. I want to take shelter of your devotees so that I can reach that stage. So the whole idea is that I just want to please Krishna. That is surrender. With whatever I do, with whatever I have, because at the end of the day, everything is Krishna's. Everything belongs to Krishna. There's nothing that I have, there's nothing that I own. But if I accept it and if I offer all of that in service to Krishna with love and humility, then Krishna will reciprocate with us. And that, I think, is the essence of this particular verse. Like I said, there could be so many different explanations, but I've just picked up a few things, and I hope this helps all of us. If there are any questions or comments, please unmute yourself. Bhagavati Mataji on the chat says, Srila Prabhupada says, one should be confident that in all circumstances, Krishna will protect him from all difficulties. The aspects of surrender are acceptance of whatever is conducive to bhakti, resignation of the self, and sincere humility. Thank you, Bhagavati Mataji, for sharing.
Thank you, Madhu Kumari. Wonderful class. I think the humility is the most important thing, in my understanding.
Yes.
Once you're, very humble, Krishna is there in our heart anyway.
Yes.
So when we understand, our ego has to go.
Yes, yes.
That's when things will happen. And thank you very much. Very nice explanation. Wonderful.
Thank you,
Madhu Kumari.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna Mataji.
Hare
I
Krishna.
like the way you explain about surrendering. It is so helpful because that's the most difficult area I have. I tend to struggle with that. And also humility, I think anybody can do humility. It's just that you have to decide and do it, really. It's just giving up the things that aren't important, but we think it's important because everybody else has it and we have to. So I like both. Both go hand in hand, humility and surrendering, isn't it, really?
Very important, I think. Humility, like we said, the preliminary, the need is to be humble. And sometimes it's very confusing what humility means. Humility does not mean that you degrade yourself, but humility just means that realizing that I am so insignificant. Like Prabhupada once said to Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, he said that on this planet Earth, there is a country, America. In the country, there is a place called Los Angeles. In Los Angeles, there is this temple. I forget the name of the temple. In that temple is Tamal Krishna Goswami. He's so insignificant, but he thinks that he is so and so. And Tamal Krishna Goswami is quoting this actually, that this is the way Prabhupada would chastise us. So, understanding that again, like I said, let's not get mistaken that I'm degrading myself. Of course, I'm respecting myself, but at the same time, I'm also understanding that I am so insignificant compared to this whole, this whole Krishna's Leela. I'm, nothing. But I will be something if I attach myself to Krishna.
Yeah.
That is humility.
I agree. And even degrading, one needs to know what that means.
Yes.
Really, because simple things like me making a mistake tonight. I'm only using that example, but people tend to think it's degrading, but it's how you feel, isn't it? And how are you going to degrade yourself or not?
Yes.
Are you going to take it on and think, oh, that's dreadful? I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to, face these people because I made such a blunder. All that kind of thing. We live with it every day, but what use is it? As you say, you're not the only person in the world. There's so many more, and
yeah. But one thing, when I first started giving these classes in 2017 in the temple room, so obviously, the first time you're nervous and you're whatever. And I heard one of the devotees, and he was telling somebody else that, see, here also it's your ego that comes in. Why do you worry? How did it go?
exactly.
Because it's your ego. At the end of the day, Krishna is the controller and he's controlling. Someday I might be able to speak, someday I might not be able to speak at all.
That's right.
And it's happened with people who've been like, great kirtankars. I know this example because, he said it himself that he was such a great kirtankar, and he was getting a bit puffed up that, he sings so well. And one day he completely lost his voice. He completely lost it. And we have to remember that at the end of the day, it is Krishna. Just because I have one particular talent which has been given to me by Krishna does not mean that I am great, that I know everything. I know nothing.
Totally. Yeah. I totally agree with that. Yes. And I think that's the things we have to give up and not allow it to pull us down or pull other people with us.
Yes.
It's not right. Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Any questions? Any comments?
Hare Krishna, Madhu Kumari Mataji.
Hare Krishna,
One of my humble obeisances. Wonderful class as usual. Very, very nice.
Thank you.
I think Prabhupada once said humility means being bold for Krishna.
Yes.
So it is because Krishna is in our heart, and when you understand the wisdom what Krishna is giving, it makes us fearless actually. He says, do not fear. So it's fearless. So if you see Prabhupada's disciples, they were so fearless. I mean, Prabhupada himself was so fearless. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was so fearless, but they were humble. So when we realize the Ishavasya principle, Ishavasyamidam Sarvam, everything belongs to Krishna, I belong to Krishna, my voice, my intelligence, everything belongs to Krishna. It's humility when we know that Krishna is infinite and we are infinitesimal, that's humility. And then being bold for Krishna, when Krishna is saying all these things, my dear Arjun, you're my devotee, and he's saying to us indirectly through Arjun, he's saying to us, when we know that we are Krishna's parts and parcels, so that makes us fearless, that being bold for Krishna, it's like that. So it is very in-depth knowledge. It's not about our self-esteem or kind of whatever the low self-esteem. Humility doesn't mean that I'll degrade myself and say I'm so fallen. It's not that.
Exactly. Yes, understanding that is important. And also Prabhupada many times also said that humility is understanding that Krishna is your protector and Krishna is there for you. That is also humility. See, there are so many ways that you can again take humility in our Krishna consciousness. Turning to Krishna, depending on Krishna, understanding that he's your shelter, knowing that you are insignificant, but you can be very significant if you have taken the shelter of Krishna. That is humility as well.
Yes. Yes, just like in our body, if my hand thinks I can separate from the body and I can be something, it can't do anything. But with my body attached to my body, my hand can do many things. So like that, when we are connected to Krishna, we can do so many things in the world very boldly.
Yes, that's nice. Yeah, thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other questions or comments or corrections? Anybody wants to add anything? Because I know this is quite a huge topic.
It is a real big subject.
It is.
I'm thinking about understanding, and knowing and understanding is one thing, but it's actually doing is
Application.
the other. And that's the key, really. Lots of people know, they know, but they are, what shall I say, hypocritical to themselves and other people and not putting it in practice. So that's the key thing. Are you living it?
Yeah,
It's
but
all right.
yeah, but Joli Mataji, the thing is, this surrender or even Krishna consciousness actually cannot be understood by our intellect or by our and our own endeavor or by being a scholar. The only way we can understand all this is by Krishna's mercy and the mercy of his devotees, and that is why it is so important to be in the association of devotees, to try and learn things together in the association of devotees, because when you will do things alone, you can give your own interpretations, and that is why Prabhupada said that you cannot by your own endeavor, and we learn this from the very wonderful pastime of Damodar, when Mother Yashoda is trying to tie him. It's the two fingers too short, and those two fingers signify one is your endeavor, but the other is the mercy. And that's why you have to always beg for the mercy of Vaishnavas and of Krishna.
Yeah, I do agree with you about the association, but I think in my case, and I'm being honest and humble here, is that I am embarrassed to ask. I don't often ask, so I don't get, obviously. But yeah, and that's one of my difficulties. But especially when you feel that you let down when you ask, we get turned away in a way. You tend to think, oh, it's not something that's done and it's not acceptable. I know that's the way, and I teach other people that's the way.
Yeah.
But it's hard for me to do it. I can give, but not take in that
No, but
sense.
I'll tell you what it is. In our scriptures, it is taught that you must be able to share. You must be able to give and take. That's one of the.
It's taking, yes.
So you must be. So you can't do it with everybody. But there should be somebody, like a couple of people that you're comfortable with, to give, to take, to share your mind, to be able to speak.
Oh yeah.
So, that's important. You don't need to do it with everybody, because that is not possible anyways. But there should be at least some people that, you can do it with. And that's very, very important. Very important.
Oh yeah.
For your spiritual growth, for your emotional well-being, it's very important that you have some such people surrounding you. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, yes.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Is this Hema Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. I really like the meanings of surrender that you put across. It's so wonderful. And regarding the number one that you said, real surrender means repose.
Yes.
All one's dependency. And every time I kind of contemplate on that, the Pandavas,
Yes.
when they're lying down and Krishna goes to them saying, Bhishma has taken an oath of winning tomorrow.
Yes.
And they're saying, well, Krishna, you're with us. So they just pull the blanket on top of them and say, why do we worry?
Yeah.
And you think, wow,
Yeah.
that is dependency, total dependency,
Complete.
giving all the anxiety and all the worry, leaving it to Krishna and saying, you sort it out.
Yeah. And at the same time, you can also see with Draupadi what happened.
Yeah.
When she tried on herself, she asked her husbands to help. She asked the other people to help her. She did all of that. She tried with her own hand. She tried to, take her sari and hold on to it and all. Till she completely surrendered to Krishna. Krishna was not there. So you see, there are examples in our Shastras which show us what complete surrender means. See, it is not easy. I'm not saying it is easy. And that is why, like I said, it's a process. So you start surrendering, like I said, surrender to your sadhana, surrender to the process, surrender to your seniors, your authorities, and then slowly you will come to a stage where you will then surrender, because you're already surrendering it to Krishna when you're doing all these things. So like His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj says, surrender is not a very mystical conception. It's actually very simple. And the main thing is that you be honest. You be honest to everything. Be honest in your sadhana. Be honest, saying that I'm actually not really chanting very nicely. I'm not taking shelter of the holy names. I know that the holy name is non-different to Krishna, but am I really realizing that? I don't think so. I'm speaking for myself here.
Yeah, no, you're right.
So, so being honest, it's such a simple thing. Being honest. Are we really honest? And that's the main thing. Are we honest to ourselves?
Yes.
So let's just start from there. And then Krishna will obviously help us.
It's a good starting point, definitely. Thank you, Mataji. Wonderful class. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mataji, the mercy and the effort, I always feel mercy is much, much more than the effort. Whatever effort we are doing is very little, but mercy is always.
100%. But Rupa Mataji, remember one thing, that Krishna is also seeing your endeavor. It may be insignificant, but the endeavor that you're making, also the will to do it is coming from Krishna, because Krishna is within you. So remember that even when you're endeavoring, you're not really doing anything. It's Krishna. But he wants to see that, because like we know and we've understood that love is not forced. Unless he sees that you're taking one step, he's not going to take the rest of the steps.
Yes, Mataji. But I always feel, because it started like that with Krishna, because I didn't know anything about Krishna, but he showered his mercy, causeless mercy. And then I came to, all these things happened because I had no clue. I didn't do anything. I just took Krishna's name once, and that the mercy just showered on me.
All of us are like that. And Krishna's mercy comes through his devotees. So you may not realize it, but I'm sure there must have been some devotees around you or something, because that's what happens. Always Krishna sends his mercy through his devotees.
Yeah, he sends a messenger.
Yes, always, without a doubt.
Yeah,
He
I agree.
sends his devotees somehow or the other. I've got some messages on the chat. Nitai Mataji saying, just remembering, never the doer, yes, and just depend on the mercy. And she says, I heard in a lecture, Srila Prabhupada said, surrender can take only a minute. But when that minute is the question, so important. I've also heard this, Nitai Mataji, and it is so significant that yes, surrender will take only a minute. When will that minute come in all our lives? But we have to practice for that minute. When it comes, are we ready? Are we willing? That's the main thing. And that is why we have the process of Krishna consciousness given by Srila Prabhupada, that we are all practicing someday. Yeah.
Yes, one of the lectures, one foreign devotee, he was asking Prabhupada, how long does it take to surrender?
Yeah.
Prabhupada said, you haven't read Bhagavad Gita? 1 minute.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So true. All right. If there are no more questions or comments, we can stop here. And all of you, please be safe. And I'm sure that all of you must be affected by things that are going on in India, because we all have our friends and relatives in India. Let us all just offer a prayer that it pulls through. Of course, all we can do as of now is pray. And that's all that, like we said, take shelter of Krishna and pray for all of them, that they get the strength. Thank you all for joining. It's really wonderful to see all of you every Wednesday evening. And hopefully, all being well, I'll be back next Wednesday. Take care till then. Thank you very much. Kripa Sindhu
Thank you.